What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. This is the final review in our Star Wars review series until Star Wars The Last Jedi. So, The Force Awakens, The Force Awakens, The Force Awakens, The Force Awakens. Let's talk about The Force Awakens. I remember, I was going to ask you too, do you remember where you were when you found out they were going to make more Star Warses?
Oh man.
Because I remember I was in the car and just driving home from school. I wasn't driving, my dad was driving. And Dad was like, hey, did you hear they're making a new Star? And I wasn't like super obsessed with Star Wars at this point. I liked it. But I wasn't like super obsessed with it or anything. And he was like, hey, did you hear about it? I was like, I didn't hear about it. No one at school talks about it now. I'm the only nerd there. So, and then like he put on the radio and you know, it was on the radio. They were like, yeah, and they've just announced that they're making more Star Wars and yay. That was like 2012. And, or 2011, whatever it was.
Would have been in high school.
Yeah.
But no, I remember talking about it with people, but I don't actually remember the announcement. I would have seen it on TV though, because my parents watch the news like every night, so I would have seen it on there.
Yeah. And then you get to 2015 and I mean the hype that I felt for this thing, not just in general, just for me, like I was so nervous but also really confident by the time it came around because Disney just knocks it out of the park with their Marvel stuff. So I thought it's in good hands. I was just worried about, you know, how am I going to like the new characters?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Are they going to try and shoehorn in things, you know, that didn't need to be there?
Yeah, that's something that Force Awakens actually avoids shoehorning in the way that even Rogue One doesn't really. Force Awakens, it has what's necessary to further the plot and the story, but nothing is shoehorned.
There's a couple of things in Force Awakens I feel, yeah, I don't know if you needed them there. And I'll get to those when we get to negatives, but I mean, like Rey, that as soon as that thing kicks in and she slides down the sand hill and she's in the Star Destroyer, that's so good. And her character, I love her. Like Daisy, really, no one knew who she was. Yeah,
she'd been in like 3 things, and I think she played a dead body in one of them. So
yeah, and that's easy. So I mean, like, she knocked it out of the park.
She's genuinely a good actress.
She is, and
so is John Boyega.
But I do love like that they nailed like the thing that when I first saw The Force Awakens in the cinemas, like it was only 2 years ago. I remember it very, very clearly, and I'm actually going with the same people for The Last Jedi that I went to The Force Awakens, so that's kind of special. And I remember like, you know, the Lucasfilm logo, a long time ago, the Star Wars text shows up and I cried. And then I knew that we were in safe hands when I read the first line of that crawl. Luke Skywalker has vanished. And I was like, we're in safe hands. My guard went down as soon as I saw that crawl, because it didn't start with tax federations and trade negotiations. And I was like, yes, this is perfect. And then it starts with, you know, your Poe Dameron on Jakku with Max von Sydow's character. And then Kylo Ren does almost like the homage to the Vader in A New Hope thing, and stopping the blaster bolt and that whole, you know.
That was badass. I remember this vividly when I saw it, and I was actually in my hometown at the time, so it wasn't a big cinema. And I remember lamenting that I couldn't see this on like a giant, you know, IMAX sort of screen. It was still, first of all, I was still in awe of it because it's Star Wars and it's my childhood. But I remember that first scene where you see Poe Dameron and Oscar Isaac, just the man himself, looks like he's from another time. I don't know what it is about him, but he looks like the kind of movie star you'd see in the 70s. So with his hair and his overall vibe, I was like, I believe you're in this universe in a way that I didn't with a lot of new characters who were introduced in the prequels.
Yeah, and I remember being taken actually with Poe specifically, like, as I say, you know, straight away, like the second you meet him, you're like, yeah, we're in safe hands.
Yeah.
You know.
And Oscar Isaac
got this, and then introduced to BB-8. Oh, BB-8.
He really took off.
I was worried about him. He was another one I was worried about because I was like, is this gonna be annoying? this little thing is this going to be really just annoying, and he wasn't, and I will take BB-8 over R2-D2 any day of the week.
Wow, really?
Yep,
that's a lot.
Absolutely. I love R2, but I will take BB-8 over R2 any day of the week. I remember the movie first comes out, people were not happy about Kylo Ren. They were like, he is a bitchy, whiny, emo little bitch. And I was like, shut up. Watch Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. Watch Luke in A New Hope. Okay, those two might not have been emo. I think it's just the black hair on Kylo that everyone's like, oh, he's emo. But I mean, it's a Skywalker trait. I mean, Anakin was a whiny bitch. Luke was a whiny bitch. And now Kylo's a whiny bitch. So it makes sense.
And Kylo, I mean...
They just handled it better.
Yeah, and Kylo, I don't really... A lot of the criticisms leveled toward Kylo, obviously a lot of the same ones could be, Anakin, but also some of them just don't make sense or ignore key parts of the plot that explain why they're there. Like, for instance, the whole... why they're untrue. He's a whiny little bitch, but he's still doing all this badass stuff that is completely incongruent with that.
The reintroduction, though, of Han... I mean, we touched on Rey, we've touched on BB-8 Poe, Kylo.
We've got to get to the older people now.
The reintroduction of Han and Chewie. And the Falcon.
Perfect.
I love that, what about that shit? That one's garbage! And then the garbage will do, and then they take the Falcon.
Yeah, great continuation of the running.
I remember when it pans over to the Falcon, I mean, I kind of saw it coming when she was like... I caught on as soon as she said... the garbage will do. Yeah. I was like, okay, pan across Falcon. The people that were with me the first time clapped. I don't mean my friends, I mean like the audience.
Yeah.
Were like, yeah, there was a few cheers for the Falcon.
You know what? I get it. My cinema cheered, not at the Falcon part, but various parts they were like, yes, yes. I think that they actually clapped in the cinema when the movie was over.
I didn't actually have that for Force Awakens. But then I mean getting to Han and Chewie re-entering the Falcon and that whole We're Home line. Oh.
The feels.
I almost wish, in fact I do wish, even though in that second trailer for The Force Awakens, which had the tag on the end with the Chewie We're Home line, I wish that wasn't there.
No, I get it.
I wish I hadn't, and look, it's my fault for watching the trailer, and I don't consider it a spoiler. I just think that's such a special moment, and it would have been more special for me personally if I'd seen it for the first time in the trailer, but it's ultimately my fault for watching it, because I'm not going to be able to stay away.
No, I get it. I absolutely get it. And I agree with you. It would have, in the context of the film, it's so much. It means so much.
As soon as The Force Awakens started, and I mean like, yellow text aside from the crawl, as soon as the actual scene started on Jakku,
yeah,
I was in. And I had forgotten about the original trilogy cast. I was invested in the new characters so much so that when Han did show up, I was like, oh yeah, Han Solo's in this movie. Like, for that brief period of time, I just completely forgotten about them because I was so enamored with the new cast.
Yeah, and yeah, they just brought in all of these great actors. Like Oscar Isaac was already a very acclaimed actor in a lot of things. I have quite a few of his movies.
Yeah.
And then you've got these two relative unknowns. Like John Boyega had been in
Attack the Block.
Good. It's good and it's fairly popular, cult sort of movie. You guys should check it out. But they weren't known, and so I kind of had this group of characters who were very similar to how the original cast were put together. Because Harrison Ford, people already kind of knew who he was because of American Graffiti. But the other two, not so much. Carrie Fisher, they kind of just said, oh, it's Debbie Reynolds' daughter, and that's kind of it.
And Mark Hamill was completely...
Mark Hamill, I think he was in a soap opera. That's about it. So it's a really similar cast makeup to the original trilogy.
And I guess, follow what works. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. And
which brings us maybe to the plot.
The plot. Look, if you watch The Force Awakens, on its surface level, yes. It's thematically similar to A New Hope. I agree with that. There are very distinct similarities and homages to A New Hope. I will not ever say it's a rip-off of A New Hope. I will not ever say it's a remake of A New Hope, because well, rip off especially, because people are saying, oh, they ripped off A New Hope. Well, they own A New Hope. So you can't rip off something that is yours.
Yeah.
They paid 4.5. I know Disney didn't create A New Hope, but they paid $4 billion for it, so they own it. And if they want to do a remake of a movie they already made, go for it. But I don't consider it a remake. It has some very, the desert planet, the Death Star, the old mentor dying at the hands of the villain, like all that stuff. You've got the same archetypes of characters.
Yeah.
But Poe giving BB-8 the map is like Leia giving R2 the plans.
Yeah.
But I wasn't watching The Force Awakens going, oh, this is just A New Hope again. It's not. It's really not. They do so many other different things in that movie that don't make it just a straight up A New Hope.
Yeah.
Remake.
I agree. And one things about it, and I know people kind of make fun of this, but when George Lucas was talking about the prequels and he said, it's like a poem, it rhymes.
It rhymes. And, I've never faulted him for that, because the Phantom Menace is not as close to The Force Awakens is to A New Hope story wise, but it is thematically the same. Young boy, desert planet, blows up a spherical base at the end. It's that, and Mentor dies, and it's that same kind of formula. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And also, the thing about Force Awakens is that it's literally about idolizing the past. You see it in all of the characters.
Well,
Rey does
Kylo Ren is a Vader wannabe.
Yeah.
The First Order is trying to be a bigger, better, badder empire. They were modeled after the Empire, and they were created from the remaining factions of the Empire.
Yeah.
And Rey idolizes this mythological idea of Jedi and Luke.
Yeah, and she thinks of Han Solo not as he is now at all, but the version that we saw in the first film.
She says that you're the smuggler, Han Solo, not Han Solo, rebellion general. Han Solo smuggler is what she knows him for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about, kind of this nostalgia for the past and wanting to recreate it on some level, or wanting to experience it again.
Yeah, and it did that. And look, I've just, I've gone on this huge rant now about The Force Awakens is not a New Hope remake. The one thing I wish they didn't do was Starkiller Base. It's the one thing. It's not a major thing for me, but it's bothered me more and more. Not the first time I saw it, it didn't. I was like, okay, whatever. But it is the one thing that I'm like, did you really have to make it that? I don't mind the idea of them having a blob of base, but did it have to be a spherical planet killer? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
If they just attacked like a base, I'd be like, okay, but that's the one thing where I'm like, not too sure on that. But I do get it from a lore point of view, whereas the First Order, like I said, is modeled from the Empire.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we don't have any control unless we have a super weapon. Well, what worked before? The Death Star. And we're going to make this one more powerful. I like that it's different. It's instead of running off kyber crystals, it uses the power of the sun, so it drains the sun and then it fires and kills.
It's a cool concept.
It's a cool concept. I just wish they'd done something different. But that's just me.
No, I agree. And one thing I do want to touch on is just J.J. Abrams. In general. Because I like
his Star Trek movies.
I like his Star Trek movies. I preferred Star Trek Beyond, which is not by him, although it is produced.
It's the best Star Trek. Out of that new trilogy, it is the best one.
By miles. But the thing I can't fault J.J. Abrams for, and I've seen a reasonable amount of his films and television work now, is that he is excellent at pacing.
The Force Awakens is so... its pacing is so good.
It's tightly paced. There's nothing that you could remove from Force Awakens to make it faster. It's already a zippy, you don't feel it.
No.
You don't feel it at all.
No, and each scene is exciting and it has something new. Getting to some negatives, I guess. I'm not sure Snoke had to be in this one. I'm not sure you needed it. I think Snoke. I don't mind them alluding to him and talking about him. Don't know if you needed him. I think it was kind of unnecessary. I mean, now more and more I watch The Force Awakens, I'm like, Snoke. It's not that I don't like Snoke as a character or the idea of Snoke. It's just that some of his scenes, or in fact all of his scenes, I just kind of felt a bit, I don't know.
You just don't really, you don't feel any kind of...
I didn't feel the fear or intimidation by him. You know, like when you see the Emperor for the first time, you're like, oh, that's a bad guy.
Yeah.
I didn't have that feeling with Snoke. And, but it's not a thing that really pisses me off. It's just, it's a minor annoyance because I know now with Last Jedi, obviously they're going to flesh Snoke out more and more, and I'm sure I'm really going to like the character. Another negative I have is John Boyega, and that's, yeah, it's going to surprise you.
Yeah.
Look, I think he did a great job in The Force Awakens. I think I love his character. I love Finn. I love the fact that they took a stormtrooper and unmasked him, and we're going to give, you know, I guess, we're going to humanize the idea of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
There are a few scenes, I think Boyega, because of his fanboy excitement to be in Star Wars, there's a couple of moments where he overcooks it. Where you can tell that, or at least I can, where I think the lightsaber fight with Kylo, for a little bit of that, he's overcooking it. You can just tell he's so amped to be there.
But couldn't you just say it's adrenaline for Finn?
Yeah, you could. But because I know Boyega's such a big Star Wars fan, I can kind of see it coming through. There's a couple of moments there where I'm like, he's overcooking it a little bit. But although I love that, it might be my favorite moment in The Force Awakens, actually. Or my favorite character interaction, I should say, is Finn and Poe in the TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
At the beginning. That, every time, that whole, like, you need a pilot. I need a pilot. And, you know, I'm Finn, what's your name? Or I'm Poe, what's your name? FN2187, that's the only name they ever gave me. That whole sequence is so good.
They have great chemistry together.
So good. Bros for life at that point. There is another negative I have, and this is kind of a major one. I think they botched the Han Solo death scene. And they botched it. They killed it. The scene itself of him dying is emotional and whatever, and it's well acted and whatever, but the lead up to that, I mean, is... Because the second he walks out on that bridge, you know he's dead.
Yeah.
The second, you know, he's in that room with Kylo, you know he's dead. And... Look, I felt emotion because Han Solo was dying, but I didn't feel the emotion that I think they wanted out of me, where you feel the emotion because it's his son that's killing him. Because up until that point, they had never shared the screen together.
Yes, that's
They hadn't had a scene together throughout the entire movie until that's the only time we've seen them together. So it lessened the impact for me of... You know, A, I could see it coming a mile away. B, they hadn't been in a scene before, so it lessened the impact of me. Well, it's so tragic. It's his son killing him. I mean, Han Solo spotted him on you know, Maz's castle planet, Takodana, I think it's called, where he's, you know, Kylo's carrying Rey away and Han sees him. But they deleted that scene of Kylo searching the Falcon. There's that scene where he finds the Falcon on Starkiller Base and he goes inside and he looks in the cockpit. He has that same moment that Han had where he's like, you know, looking around like, I'm home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should have been in the movie, because the Falcon acts as a surrogate for Han Solo there, where it's like, it gives you that connection between the two of them.
I completely agree with you. Yes.
Yeah, see, I can make good points.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I agree with you on pretty much all of the points you made, that you just don't feel the emotion of his death. Well, you feel emotion, but you know.
I feel the emotion of Han Solo dying, not so much that it was his son doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the acting is great. It goes, like I said, it goes a long way. But you needed
Harrison Ford, though, in that scene is so good. And so is Adam Driver, too. Adam Driver knocks it out of the park in that scene.
Yeah, you feel for the guy, even though
I feel for Kylo Ren in that scene more than anything else.
Me too.
Because, you know, like, I love that idea that... And a lot of people, I think, don't quite get this, where when Kylo says... I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. I think a lot of people on surface level interpret that as, I know I should go with you and be good, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. I think that's what a lot of people take that as. What it actually is him saying, I know I have to kill you, but I don't know if I can do it. And I love that idea, like the Han Solo takes that the same way I was just saying most of the audience took that as...
it's like they're having two different conversations.
It's two different conversations. It's like, Han's going, okay, I will help you, come with me, I'll do whatever I'll do whatever it takes. And Kylo's like, yeah, no, I'm actually going to kill you.
To me, that's the mark of great dialogue. When as an audience member, you can see, and great characterization as well, you can see that these people are having two different conversations. And it just works so well.
Let's go onto Mary Sue.
I was just thinking that we're on the same page.
Because here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there who bitch and complain that she's good at everything. That she can fly, she can lightsaber fight. Well, no, okay, it did set it up. Like, she knows how to fight with that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone bitches about how was she able to beat Kylo?
The man was shot with what is essentially a cannon.
You watch The Force Awakens. Every time Chewie shoots stormtroopers with that bowcaster, it sends them flying 50 feet the other way. Right? They're flipping over in the air and crashing and dying, right? Kylo takes a shot of that. He just goes down and then gets back up again. He's dying at that point. He's been hit with Chewie's bowcaster. He's erratic and his head's probably not in the right spot. And he's obviously not focused in that fight either.
No.
And because he's so emotional over what happened.
And what's more is he's very he doesn't know that he knows that Rey can use the Force, but he doesn't know that she can fight at all.
No.
So he's
and also
arrogant.
Finn got a couple of lucky shots on him too. So he had a couple of other injuries aside from Chewie's great shot there. I wonder why Chewie didn't just shoot him in the head, but that's me. Maybe Chewie thought, well, if I kill him, Leia ain't gonna be happy about it.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's basically his nephew or his godson at this.
I guess, Uncle Chewie. Yeah, I can see that. Who wouldn't want Chewie as their uncle? Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Best uncle ever.
And I mean, first on a kind of related note to the fight between Rey and Kylo, it's a beautifully shot scene.
Oh.
I'm gonna put it in my top 3 best Star Wars fights ever.
It is one of my favorite saber fights. It's at night. It's in the snow. It looks amazing.
The tracking shots on them as they're fighting, it just looks so good.
And think about it, Rey is not that proficient when that fight starts. It's not until they end up locking sabers and Kylo says, I can show you the ways of the Force, and she goes, oh shit, the Force. Right, okay. And then tunes into it. Now, I'm not sure whether she tuned into the Force and was able to pick up how he fights. Because, they introduced in The Force Awakens with Kylo reading minds and things. I wonder whether... And I actually think it's probably what happened. She was able to get inside his head.
That is what happened.
In that moment and go, okay, now I know how to beat you because I know I've picked up how you fight. Because after that moment, she's way more proficient. She's twirling it. She's doing a lot more prequel Jedi era kind of stuff. Not on the same level, obviously, but it is similar.
The choreography is amazing. And the way, when you watch Kylo fight... He's handling that saber like it's a broadsword in the same, because it has the crossguard, so it's already reminiscent. But he's handling it like a broadsword, and then you've got Rey early on. She's just using it like a staff because that's how she would fight. And then you've got Finn, who's just kind of stabbing a lot because he doesn't really know how to use a saber, but he knows how to use hand weapons because he's a stormtrooper. But everyone has such distinct fighting styles, and this is the same in the prequels and to a lesser extent the originals. They have unique fighting styles, and once you pick up on it, you're just thoroughly impressed that they've gone to that extra mile. And when you look at the fight, she's on the defensive the whole time until that cliff scene. Yes. The whole time.
And then
she's not beating him.
Yeah, no, and then she just takes him out like that. And that's, but like, look, as of now, not seeing episode 8, I don't think she's a Mary Sue. But I also don't think you can say one way or the other really without having seen episode 8, because The Force Awakens was just the setup.
Yeah.
So if in Force Awakens, in The Last Jedi, if she doesn't get her ass handed to her, and she's just good at everything in The Last Jedi, then I'm going to be on the Mary Sue side. Then I'm going to be saying, oh, she's just kind of good at everything.
No, I'll agree with you on that. But from the trailers, I think that the makers have kind of heard the complaints.
I think they were going to explore it anyway.
Probably. But there's an incentive now to
That's what I mean. If she has a confrontation with Kylo, like a proper fight with Kylo in this one, Kylo had better kick her ass. Not kill her, but he better bloody kick her ass.
Yeah.
Or come very close.
We didn't talk about Leia.
Leia.
Leia just shows up.
In this one, she's kind of... I feel like Leia in this is... Like, look, there was no... You could not have her in the movie.
Yeah.
She was just kind of there.
Yeah, she shows up, like... I think, to be honest, in the way that you think that... And I agree, but yeah. You think that they botched the Han Solo death scene. I kind of think that they botched her reintroduction.
It wasn't as impactful as maybe it could have been. I mean, like, it made sense for the story that she would show up at that point.
Yes.
And I like that dialogue you were referring to with the same... You changed your hair. Same jacket. Like, that line's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 3PO showing up and interrupting that moment.
Nobody speaks to him throughout the whole film.
No one talks to him. And I don't like 3PO. So, Poe. Let's go back to Poe for a second. Initially, Poe was supposed to die.
Yeah.
On Jakku. And Oscar Isaac didn't want to die, so JJ and the Lawrence Kasdan rewrote it and put Poe in the rest of the movie. Now, I personally feel like, well, just because you really want that actor and they're supposed to die, and they don't want to die, I don't think you should bend the story to the actor.
Normally I would agree, but he's so good.
No, I know. So I kind of feel like that. And I kind of wonder how much they had to change to put him in, because I don't mind him coming back and it being a surprise. I think they botched him coming back being a surprise, though, because when the Resistance shows up on Takodana, when they're all captured, and you see, and Poe's flying around kicking ass in the X-Wing, and Finn says, that's one hell of a pilot, but Finn doesn't know it's Poe.
Yeah.
I feel like don't show Poe in that you shouldn't have shown him in the X-Wing. You should have just shown him when Finn arrives back on the base and BB-8 rolls up to Poe, and then you see Poe and Finn reunite. I feel like that could have been a better... Be like, oh, that was you. Because then Finn would have put it together. Like, oh yeah, that it'd be that good pilot that helped us escape the ship in the beginning. Captain Phasma.
Wasted.
Captain Phasma. Look, I only have an issue with it because they marketed her so hard.
And it's a great character, like costume design.
And I can see why. It's like, it is really on the audience. It is really on us to be like, because we were just kind of like, well, I want that cool thing to do cool things.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
She became like the Boba Fett.
Yeah, but see, I'm not that high on Boba Fett either. Everyone thinks Boba Fett is so cool and so badass. I'm like, Boba Fett didn't do anything either.
If Captain Phasma had been in the original trilogy, people would have the same thing they have for Boba Fett. They would just be like, man, Captain Phasma was so cool.
But
she didn't do anything.
Here's what fixes the Captain Phasma issue in The Force Awakens, right? Mm-hmm. I know Finn and Phasma are going to have a fight in The Last Jedi. It's in the trailer. I know it's going to happen.
Can't wait.
Here's what fixes but if we're just talking about Force Awakens, here's what fixes that problem. Swap out the traitor stormtrooper fighting Finn for Phasma. Have her get shot, have her get injured, have Finn get away.
I think they didn't...
Swap that out for that reason.
I think they didn't do it because they wanted her for the other movies and they didn't want to make her look beatable, because then it removes tension later.
Sure, but that I mean, have her get shot with the bowcaster and have her go down for a while, have her get back up later after they leave or something, but I mean, she's still... I mean, she let the shields down.
Yeah.
Lower the shields, lower she. Okay, like...
True.
Let's talk about Luke Skywalker because
that's the elephant in the room.
He's
the last 30 seconds.
He's in this movie. Now, when I first saw it, and when she's walking up the steps, she gets to Luke, and I was like, all right, I know this is the end of the movie, but what's he gonna say? Like, I thought, oh, he's gonna have a couple of lines, or he's gonna say something and then it's gonna end. Like, he's gonna drop like a bombshell or something, He's gonna say something that's gonna shock us and then it's gonna end. That's what I thought they were going with. Or I thought at least he was gonna take the lightsaber. But they didn't have him say anything.
And
I think when you realize how highly JJ thinks of Luke Skywalker as a character and how closely he holds that character, and he decides, I'm not going to use him. I'm not going to have him do anything except turn around, remove his hood, say nothing. And I'm going to set up new characters. I think that's really admirable, where it's like, because the temptation could have been, I'm going to put Luke in all the movie.
Oh, I can see it. And J.J. Abrams he probably had to resist a lot. Yeah. Because who doesn't want to, write your favorite character?
But that ending works so well. Even before we knew anything about The Last Jedi, you're like, I want to know what that conversation is. So it works so well, and Mark Hamill's expression is so ambiguous. Like, that, okay, there's emotion in that face, there's clearly sadness in that expression, but you're not really sure what he's thinking.
Yeah.
You don't know, and I think it would have been an even bigger troll if he just opened his mouth. Like, if they do the close-ups and then he just goes, and then it cuts it, like he goes to say something and then it just cuts away. I just think that would have been funny. So that is our review of The Force Awakens. Thank you very much for watching. By the time this video goes up, we'll be like maybe a day or two out from The Last Jedi. So I look out for my review of The Last Jedi coming. I'm doing both a spoiler-free and a spoiler-filled review for The Last Jedi, depending on how timing works and everything. It may or may not be with Ali, but we'll see. We'll try and make it happen.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.